Thanks, Jimmy, for talking to us. Obviously, you're helming on starboard. How did your day went?
It was great. It was a great day. We had anything from sort of 12 to 19 knots. It's the first day I've ever been sailing in Sardinia with snow on the mountains, so it was very cold.
We would like to know what controls are you in charge exactly when steering? For example, rake with the rudder, sails control, foil drops. Can you talk us through what's on your wheel and how do you use it and so on?
Yeah, with the double helm setup, obviously when you're driving, we have the option to trim the traveller main sheet. And then as soon as you tack, you pretty much become a jib trimmer. And so, yeah, we then go to the jib, and all the jib functions.
And what areas do you need to work on specifically on this America's Cup cycle? As a helmsman, I'm saying.
Oh, I think it's just getting used to sailing the boat in waves. I mean, this will really probably be the first America's Cup sailing in swell. I mean, all the past America's Cups have pretty much been flat water. In New Zealand we were always able to get into a flat water spot, and even San Francisco, even when the tide was bad, there was really only one small area of the course near Alcatraz. So yeah, that's what's going to be fascinating. And seeing a lingy, in those waves, it looks like a pretty challenging racecourse area.
We know that sailors of other teams do study the Recon data, and so how does Luna Rossa and how does your sailing team cope with all the data? Do you have a brief where you study it, or how do you go through it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll typically have a quick wrap up at the end of the day once the boat's out of the water. But generally, you have more of an in-depth meeting with the design engineering team and the sailors the next day, just because you need time to post-process and get the data in a state where you can really go through it and check in what the goals of the day were.
And could you talk us through step by step, again from a helming role, how do you exactly achieve flight from displacement, the transition? How do you coordinate all of that?
Yeah, I mean, in takeoff mode, you're just trying to get the boat a little bit to windward, trying to get some forward motion. I think it's a little bit harder on these in these prototype boats, because you don't have the waterline length and the stability you generally do on the bigger boats. But yeah, it's pretty similar. You just try and get some windward heel, get some forward motion, and then as soon as you start getting some boat speed and you can utilise the flap for your riding moment, then you start to come down to angle, and then everything starts to sort of snowball. As you accelerate, you're just trying to trim the sails on, and it happens pretty quickly.
And you mentioned windward heel technique. Is that an illusion of us, or are you specifically trying to rock the boat windward?
Yeah, I mean, when you're slow before the takeoff, you obviously, without much boat speed, the flap is not that effective. So at that point, you're really just trying to use some windward heel to try and keep the boat down at a wider wind angle to accelerate. And again, these smaller boats, they just don't sort of have the stability that the bigger ones have.
So are you seeking for any windward heel also when fully foiling, or?
I think when you're fully foiling, you're looking to probably a little bit of windward heel, anywhere from sort of flat to a little bit of windward heel. Yeah, once you're up and going.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy.
No worries.